You are listening to the audiobook Veilshatter, Legends of Elyndar, now available on Amazon, Audible, and wherever books are sold. Featuring our three unforgettable heroes, an epic adventure begins.
The shadows whisper. Night pressed close as Liora climbed, barefoot and shivering, the curling spine of the scholars' ward. Above, Avestra's rooftops cut ink-black silhouettes against the smoldering stars. Here, where even the fog yielded to fractured wind, she moved unchallenged. Her limbs ached with depletion, soul taxed by soul-weaving and the tatter of prophecy. Each step was a private negotiation against the shape of her own fear. Runes glimmered along the parapet, blue and amber, guttering like old hopes. She ignored the locked garden doors and skipped the creaking lattice. Her feet knew the old ways, handholds half remembered from dusklit games when her world was smaller and safe, before memory's teeth and prophecy's web. She slipped onto the moonstone tiles of the shrine's roof, a perch pressed against the dark belly of the sky. The shrine was small, worked from rain-scoured obsidian and bone-smooth cedar. Its mirrored doors, precious glass, not native to Miruna or mortar, gleamed faintly, reflecting 1,000 broken pieces of the same ghost-pale girl. Herself, but not herself. The plinth, capped with a bowl of salt and a single spiral shell, promised a paltry defense. Glass bells hung beneath the eaves, mute tonight, their tongues silenced with black ribbon. Here, the city's woven magic thinned. Wards could be trusted elsewhere, but not above the market, not in the arches where the lament still echoed, and not when prophecy stalked with bleeding feet. Liora bowed to the doors, pressing her chilled brow to the cold surface, an old gesture from a mother's hand she barely recalled. "Let them, if they must, watch me here," she whispered, the words brittle as frost lace. Her breath left silver on the mirror. The air smelled of old incense and rain and something stranger, ozone, like the sting before a lightning crash, but curdled, laced with a sweetness that made her mouth taste of honey poured over bone. She summoned nothing, for her magic refused to answer. No soul work remained after the night's trials, just that hollow ache, the scoured place behind her ribs. She fumbled for strength anyway, and knelt beneath the hanging bells, shoulders hunched and eyes half closed. Memory currents slid over her, wary but greedy, like cats in the dark. From deep within the mirror's glass, a ripple, as if water shuddered beneath ice. Her face warped, eyes lengthening until shadow rimmed their edge, darkening the familiar curve of jaw and brow. The silvered surface twitched, blinked, and then another voice, layered with her mother's cadence, but too sweet, too old, spoke from within. "Liora, my heart's lantern, you have wandered far into hunger." Not a mother's voice, not truly. The inflection was close, but hollow, in places where love should have lived. Liora's tongue clove to the roof of her mouth. Her gut told her to flee, but even fear wears the mask of longing if one is desperate enough. She forced words out, jaw tight. "This city is not yours. The night is warded. You have no claim here." The mirror laughed, a sound like breaking beads, cold and bright. "Ward? Little lantern, I am the thing the wards remember. I am the old shadow the glass was forged to bind. Yet glass is but thin skin, stone forgets. You called, and doors open for those who hunger as you do." The shrine itself seemed to shrink, the rooftop drawing inward as if the city cowered. Along the eaves the glass bells began to shake, their ribbons unraveling by some breathless command. Liora's pulse quickened. Her magic wanted to answer the tug, to bridge the boundary as prophecy demanded. The voice, 1,000 needles, soft as silk, kindling ancient longing, shifted again. Now her father's baritone, never known in life, but learned through dreams and fragments. "Come home, Liora. Let go of the ache. There are arms waiting beyond this thin, suffering world." You could see them, your mother's eyes, your kin, the ones you lost beneath the silent wards. Her soul seized with want, and, beneath it, knife-bright dread. She had tasted memory's echo when soul work ran wild, had let it brush her cheek with old happinesses, always stolen, and each time her magic exacted a debt measured in exhaustion and a hollowness that never fully faded. "Give them back," she whispered, arms wrapped tight about her knees. "Return the ones you took from the mirror's night, or let me forget. I would give you all my hungers just to sleep without them." From the glass, the shadowed lord's real voice bled through. It was none she had ever heard, and yet it throbbed in her marrow, older than rain, sicker than want. "No bargains are made. Soul daughter, without tribute, yours is a mouth meant to speak the threshold open. Yours is the blood that could mend the splinter in the world's weave, a wound cut for my return." A shape flickered in the room, tall and black-veined, thin as the blade of a memory lost. A hand pressed against the glass from within, stretching the silver, each fingertip rimmed by a collapsing darkness that ate reflection and bled nothingness. She recoiled, scraping her palms raw on the stone. Her exhaustion was a shield, the lagging ebb of her soul weaving forcing the world solid again, resisting the shadow's pull. Yet the soul lake sharpened. What was taken from her might be returned, but only on terms that would unmake her, body and will. "I am not a door," she said, breath hitching as tears pricked. "No more than any soul grieving. I am not your vessel, nor your herald." The hand and the glass closed. The darkness thickened until the mirror showed only her own face again, but warped, haunted, eyes brimming with the same mix of desire and terror that clenched her heart. "Then why do you listen, little lantern?" the shadowed lord asked, gentler now. "Hope, even when brittle, is proof the wound can open further. You are bound to me as line to ink, as grief to song. You cannot bar the path forever, not when even prophecy calls you by name." The glass bells wept a thin, desperate note. Shadows inside the mirror surged, fracturing light into 1,000 stabbing shards. Liora pressed her fists to her brow, desperate to remember her own shape beneath the weight of nightmare and promise. "Let me go," she begged. "Let me live with my wounds. Choose another. I am nothing but a relic, motherless, tired, running out of names." At that, the darkness in the glass pulsed, crackled, took on edge and tension as the air in the shrine thickened. The Lord's voice, bright as glass slivers, brushed over her. "If I could choose another, I would. I take what is left. I grant what is given, by memory, by breaking. So go, gather your scattered kin. Run from me if you must, but each step unwinds your own warding. The city will bleed with you." A flash, her mother's smile, wide and warm, and then a grin twisted with old malice. Behind it, faces Liora had never known, hope and horror twins, all murmuring in the same brittle chorus. "Little lantern, lend us your echo. Remember, or we will devour you." Her hand shook on the cold stone. Through the last dregs of magic in her blood, she forced herself upright, staring her own reflection down. "I am Liora of Maroon," she declared, voice ragged but unyielding. "Firstborn to a line who survived the lament, memory's daughter. I have lost enough. You will have no open door from me tonight." For a moment the mirror went utterly dark, returning neither shape nor voice. Only her reflection, wan and shaking, fixed her in place. At last the glass softened, shadows receding as if pulled on invisible tides. Wind stirred, and the city spirit bridges groaned far below, sending up a chorus of breaking bells. Liora's body sagged with weariness. The cost of resisting the shadow pressed on her sinew and spirit. Her head throbbed, mouth tasted of copper and burnt sage. She felt the corners of herself blur, the rope of exhaustion tugging her toward collapse. But she remained knelt, cradled in the shrine's fading hush. Breath came shallow but steady. The night, for all its dangers, felt quieter for the first time since prophecy's wound. The shadow's hunger, both promise and threat, still pressed on the world's edge, but for now, the mirror yielded only silence. Below, Avestra began to stir. Dawn not yet returned, but bells knelling the hour of false light, the hour when old oaths strain and thin. Far off, a memory mote soared past the parapet, trailing the scent of marjoram and old joy. Across tiled roofs, Sen's parting words found her. Seek others. Remember together. Beyond the shrine, lanterns guttered in the alleys where the eclipsed thralls slunk, artifacts swaddled in mourning black. Shadows thickened, drifting toward the city's sleeping heart. And somewhere, across bridge and river, the first hint of dawn's blaze began to tremble on the farthest towers. Liora drew herself up, pain hollowing her bones. With one last touch to the cold glass, a vow and a warning both, she rose. She gathered her tattered strength, cloak wrapped tight around thin shoulders, and slipped from the rooftop shrine, the city spinning beneath her like a world caught between remembrance and ruin. Somewhere below waited allies whose futures were bound to hers, and enemies still cloaked in midnight. Each heartbeat carried her toward the next peril, toward memory runners, old debts, and the wounded hope she could still change what prophecy had set in motion. As she descended into the waking alleys, soul-marked and wary, the memory of the shadow's whisper lingered, hunger braided to longing, and the brittle ember of defiance keeping her, for another night, her own.